So, councils now in the north of England and Midlands to now get more funding in big shake-up. So, deprived towns and cities in the Midlands and the north of England are now going to be big winners in the shake-up of local authority funding that will now redirect cash from more affluent rural areas to urban councils hit hardest by austerity. Now, a lot of people will say this is what really should have happened. But there's a lot of people in these rural areas now that are going to go, well, what if this, leads to now deprivation in these rural areas? And it's hard not to argue that, but this is one of these things where not time will have to tell and what happens in here. This is the traditional, as we've always said, this urban versus rural, the cities versus the countryside, always this constant push and pull between the two. So ministers have said that now all these changes will be in place for a fairer system that recognises the extra needs of the weaker council tax raising powers of councils now in the so-called left behind areas. It would also guarantee now a real terms of funding increase now for the next 3 years. People living in these places have suffered mostly from austerity and will now finally see these areas turn around, local government minister Alistair McGovern said in a parliamentary statement. All these changes will, of course, be introduced from April before the critical local election in May, which could now see funding boosts for Reform UK-led councils in the north, high levels of deprivation, such as Durham, Lancashire, as well as Kent, Reform's very own flagship council.